And thank you for joining us. This is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon of First, our top stories. Occupants are feared trapped as two-story building collapses in Lagos. Tension as a police tear gas bar journalists and lawyers from entering Kuje court ahead of Sowore's appearance. Under Tinubu and Buhari, 50 generals forced out despite rising insecurity. Resident doctors to begin indefinite strike on November 1. Dangote increases refinery capacity from 650,000 to 1.4 million BPD. Creation of one more state and Nnamdi Kanu's release will bring peace to Southeast, according to Ned Nwoko. On an international scene, 4 killed in Cameroon as protests intensify ahead of presidential result. And in sport, Munich voters approve plan to bid for Summer Olympics. Those are our top stories. Details coming up in just a moment. We begin the news at 12 with tragedy as a two-story building has collapsed in the Oyingbo area of Lagos, leaving an undisclosed number of people feared trapped. The director of the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Margaret Adesheye, in a situation report said that the agency reviewed a distress call in the early hours of Monday. Adesheye explained that the building, located at 54 Cole Street Cemetery bus stop, had been marked distressed before it collapsed on the occupants. She revealed that 15 people comprising 7 female adults, 7 male adults and 4 children had been rescued with varying degrees of injury. They were taken to the Federal Medical Center Ibutemeta and General Hospital Odan, Lagos Island. She, however, said the rescue operation by the Sari Gamo Fire Station of the LSRFRS are ongoing. Building collapses in Nigeria are a lingering concern, especially in the rainy season. The incident happened weeks after 6 people were rescued in September after a 2-story building collapsed in Modupeola Street, Mongoro, Alimosho, Lagos. Heavily armed police officers on Monday barricaded the entrance of the Kuje Magistrate Court in Abuja, preventing journalists and lawyers from accessing the premises. The security operatives arrived early in the morning and sealed off all access points, being without giving any reason for the restriction. Lawyers and members of the press who attempted to enter the court were turned back, sparking confusion and speculation about the motive behind the action. There was a detachment of armed policemen with armored personnel carriers, APCs, mounted at various locations ahead of the appearance of human rights activist Omoyele Sowore, who was expected to be granted bail today after perfecting his bail conditions. The police had earlier fired tear gas canisters within the court premises to disperse some lawyers and Sowore's associates who were in the court in solidarity with the activist. Many lawyers and journalists who were in the court for different cases were also prevented from gaining access to the premises, causing altercations and confusion as they insisted on carrying out their legitimate duties. Police Hilux vehicles were stationed at various locations outside the court premises, leading to heightened tensions and anxiety in the area. Despite escalating insurgency across the country, no fewer than 500 senior military officers, including Major General, Brigadier Generals, Rear Admiral, and Air Vice Marshals, have been forced into early retirement following the changes of service chiefs under the Muhammadu Buhari and Bola Tinubu administration. The mass retirement spanning the Army, Navy, and Air Force between 2015 and 2023 stemmed from the long-standing military tradition of disengaging senior officers who are either senior or to or of the same course as newly appointed service chiefs. The move, according to the military, is aimed at maintaining discipline, hierarchy, and operational efficiency within the services. Data collated from media reports indicates that over 500 top officers have quit the services in the past 8 years. However, military insiders asserted that the affected generals numbered approximately 900 or more, which have not been independently verified. The first wave of retirements occurred shortly after former President Muhammadu Buhari appointed new service chiefs in July 2015. Over 100 senior army officers, mainly major generals and brigadier generals, were forced to retire, while the Navy lost over 20 senior officers, including commodores and at least one rear admiral. The second phase was recorded in 2021, which saw about 123 generals exit the army, while over 50 senior Air Force officers and another 50 naval officers also left service. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NARD) has announced plans to commence an indefinite nationwide strike starting November 1, 2025. NARD President Muhammad Suleiman disclosed this in a statement, saying the strike directive was issued after the expiration of a 30-day ultimatum earlier given to the federal government over unresolved demands. This latest action comes after a 5-hour meeting of the association's National Executive Council (NEC). The statement says the NEC has marshaled out minimum demands, strike monitoring directives, and no work, no pay, no work resolutions needed for a successful execution of this action. According to Suleiman, the decision followed the expiration of a 30-day ultimatum earlier issued to the federal government to address its demands. Suleiman said the National Officers Committee (NOC) has been mandated to ensure full compliance with the directive and to implement strike monitoring and enforcement measures across all centers. He added that the association's center president and general secretaries have been directed to convene emergency congress meetings to brief members on the resolutions. The Dangote refinery has announced that it is increasing its production from 650,000 barrels per day to 1.4 million barrels per day. When completed, the expansion would make the facility the largest refinery in the world, surpassing the Jamnagar refinery in India. Speaking at the press briefing in Lagos, the president of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, said the move reflects confidence in Nigeria's future and aligns with President Bola Tinubu's vision of making the country a global supplier of refined petroleum products. Dangote commended the federal government for its support and for implementing policies that have spurred industrial growth, including Nigeria's first policy, Naira for crude policy, and one-stop shop initiative. He said these policies have revolutionized the downstream sector and encouraged private investment in local refining. According to him, government mediation also helped resolve recent disruptions at the refinery, which were linked to union activities and sabotage attempts. The business mogul revealed that the expansion project will generate about 65,000 jobs during the construction phase and open new opportunities for local industries. A senator representing Delta North Ned Nwoko says peace has continued to elude the southeast geopolitical zone due to the perceived marginalization of the region by successive government. The southeast has witnessed persistent unrest in recent years following agitations by the separatist group, the Indigenous People of Biafra (IPOB), beg your pardon, which has been calling for the creation of an independent state of Biafra. Senator Nwoko, who is leading the campaign for the creation of Anioma State out of the present Delta State to serve as the sixth state in the southeast, said during an interview with Seun Okinbaloye that the government only needs to do two things to restore peace to the region. According to him, the creation of Anioma State and the release of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu will almost certainly bring lasting peace to the southeast. Take a listen.
Nnamdi Kanu has been in custody for some time now. I believe that he has been held unjustly. Many people feel that way.
As a lawyer, do you think so?
Oh yes.
That the judicial process is unjust?
Yes. Yeah, no, it has been. There's a lot of delays in prosecuting him and all that. If you want to get him tried and convicted, get on with it. But this is a guy who has been held unjustly aside, for so many months.
And the Buhari government started it.
I'm not talking about this government.
Trial. No, so the point I'm even making now.
I'm talking about the previous government under Buhari when
it's facing a judicial process right now.
Yes.
Saying it's just because the argument is that there should be a political solution, maybe a null prosecution. Prosecution should be established on that for the case to be wrong, but those ones the Buhari government started it.
I'm not talking about this government.
No, so the point I'm even making now.
I'm talking about
which is
the previous government under Buhari
when it's facing a judicial process right now. Saying it's just because the argument is that there should be a political solution, maybe a null prosecution. So prosecution should be established for the case to be wrong, but those ones the Buhari government
I'm not talking about this government.
So the point I'm talking about which is when it's facing a judicial process right now. Saying it's just because the argument is that there should be a political solution, maybe a null prosecution. So prosecution should be established for the case to be wrong, but those ones the Buhari government
I'm not talking about this government.
So the point I'm talking about which is
and they have assured me that once that they are prepared to be engaged by us, by the leadership. When this is done, they don't want to die. The youths don't want to die. They want to go back to schools. They want to go back to their jobs. Wow. All they want is some level of respect and acknowledgement by the nation, by the government of Nigeria.
That was Ned Nwoko, the senator representing Delta North, talking about bringing peace to the southeast by releasing Nnamdi Kanu and, of course, the creation of a sixth state in the southeast. If you're just tuning in, this is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. It's time for the analysis segment, and I have Peter Anosike, current affairs analyst. He's also an academic doctor with PhD on consulting and profit management from Brenner University in the state of Delaware, United States. Dr. Anosike is the author of the book Abuse of Power: How Democracy Turned into Tyranny of the Few. Dr. Anosike, it was a pleasure talking to you. Welcome to the News at 12.
Thank you for having me.
Now, today is packed with news. There are lots of stories. I don't even know. There is the story building collapse in Lagos. There is the Sowore situation. There is a revelation we just got where over 500 generals have been forced out despite rising insecurity because of a change in security architecture. And of course, a few days ago, the president announced a new change in the architecture. And of course, a lot of military personnel, high-ranking military personnel will have to go into forced retirement. We have the resident doctors beginning indefinite strike starting for November 1. There is a Dangote increasing the capacity of the refinery for 650,000 to 1.4 billion BPD, and there's the Ned Nwoko's interview with Chinua Kibaloye, where he talk about the creation of one more state and the release of Nnamdi Kanu will almost bring peace to the southeast. So many talking points, but let's start with the human angle story, which is the building collapse in Lagos. It's becoming rampant, and one will be wondering, what are the regulatory agencies doing? Why are building collapse becoming a recurrent incident in Nigeria, especially in Lagos?
We should also talk about the stubbornness of our people.
Of ordinary Nigerians.
When a building was marked distress, that vacated its premises, it may be collapsing soon. What are you still doing there? That should be where we should start. A building that is marked distress shows a defect in the structure of the business, in the structure of the building. I know that the Ebute Meta Oyimbo area, because I was once a property and environment correspondent with the Sun newspaper. So I have visited many collapsed buildings Understand? And when you go there, you will see that the builders did a shoddy work. You can see that there's always more sand than cement, more sand than gravels. You can see that the DPC, everything is wrong. Understand? So this always starts from the builders, those that build the building. Because once there's what is called reinforcements. What keeps building is the reinforcement, the pillars, the DPC. Once these are strong, understand, that building cannot fall, even if it catches a fire. But here you see them ordinarily when you are supposed to use one bag of cement that will mold 15 decent blocks. You see them using a bag of cement to mold 50. So at the end of the day, everything will be sandy. So the issue is that one, the regulators are not really doing enough. I don't know if they have adequate manpower that to police construction sites to make sure that the right thing are being done. Understand? The issue of manpower, the issue of corruption. When they are giving money, they can be looking at the other way why bad things are being done. So this is it involves the regulators and also our own people. When a contractor wants to cut corners by not doing the right thing, by not using the required measurement, things will always go wrong.
Or using cheap and substandard materials.
And when they say that this business, this building is distressed, you don't need to stay there. I understand that from the emotional angle, they may not have money to pack into another building, but life first.
Because of time, let's go straight to the next topic of discussion, where heavily armed police officers today barricaded the entrance to the Kuje Magistrate Court in Abuja, preventing journalists and lawyers from accessing the premises, and of course all because of the Sowore court hearing where he was supposed to conclude his bail activities. Now, and this is why some people question democracy and how democracy is being practiced in Nigeria, because of the excessive militarization and excessive policing of Nigerians, giving it a feel of military leadership or military dictatorship instead of how democracy should be practiced. It's stories and situations like this that brings out those kind of fears.
So for me, our Nigeria police, one, Sowore is not an armed robber. Understand? He is not a kidnapper. He did not not overthrow of government. So why those securities? You have all those ammunitions and you are running away from bandits. Do you know on October 20th, what the soldiers showcased? It was as if they are going to war against America or against Russia for innocent protesters. But when it comes to bandits, they will be going to work with two uniform. When they hear a gun, they will use mufti and cover their police this in uniform. Sowore is not an armed robber. He's not a security threat. It was even a soft bail. Then why deploying all those things as if you are going to war? So for me, it's just an overkill. Sowore will be granted bail, and before evening he will be out. He will be out. When they see where they are supposed to show force, they will not do it. But when they come to innocent people, they will now begin to do as if they are in U.S. Army. So for me, it's just a waste of time.
I mean, the place was so cordoned that even it disrupted even other, court proceedings. Journalists were not allowed in, and that began to raise lots of questions.
As if it is an armed robbery case. Even when Lawrence Anini was arrested, and so for me, their power is where civilians dey. Nigeria police power is where innocent civilians dey. When they hear gun, they will remove their uniform, put a mufti, and run. This is just what did Sowore did. He protested. He led a protest, which is his fundamental human right. Nobody was killed. Nobody was injured. It's not a case of armed robbery. It's not a case of kidnapping. This is even a civil case.
What do you think about?
So the show of force is unnecessary.
What do you think about the arrest there? Because the police have come out to say the reason why he was arrested was the fact that it wasn't the fact that he protested, but the fact that he led protests to some restricted places where they were barred from. And of course, Sowore had already said the police were given notification, and the police never told them not to protest in this area and this area.
So for me, to start with, court refused to stop that protest because they went to court for the protest to be stopped. Court say no. Once court says no, it means that the protest should go on. So, and once the protest is going, you cannot say protest here, don't protest here. Court has given a go ahead for the protest to continue. Understand? So Sowore did not commit any offense. Sowore did not commit any offense. That's unnecessary show of force. They should go to Sambisa and do it. They should go to Castina. They should go to Zamfara. Understand?
And Benue State.
And Benue, and not in Abuja.
Because of time, one statement about what do you think about Ned Moko's assertion that of releasing of Nnamdi Kanu and the creation of almost obviously at the weekend at the constitutional review, and one of the things we talked about is the creation of one more state.
If a state should be created out of Southeast, it shouldn't be a normal state.
Okay.
If a state should be created from the Southeast, I don't want to say it must not be a normal state, because these people have been betraying us right from time. Do you understand me? These people have been betraying the core Igbos right from time. In 1979, when Zeke ran for the president of this country, Bendel, which include Delta, voted for UPN.
So you don't consider those parts of Delta as core Igbo?
I say they are not. They have been betraying us. I have told you that. Example, 1979, when Zeke ran for the president, Bendel State under Ambrose Sande, they voted for UPN, not MPP, which was Zeke's party. And so you shouldn't be, when it favors you, you become a middle belt. When it doesn't favor you, become Igbo. If a state should be created from South, it must not be a Neoma. Nnamdi Kanu released his support on that one, but for creation of a Neoma state.
So what state would you have rather be the sixth state instead of the Neoma state?
There are so many. They have Adada, they have Aba, they have Ekiti, they have Etiti, they have Ondo.
Okay.
It should be created from the core Southeast state, not Anioma. These people have been betraying us. Imagine what Sunday Okechukwu Onisa said. That people thought that he's an Igbo. He's not an Igbo. Somebody answered no Okechukwu. Understand me?
I mean, the way you're separating the core Igbo and non-core Igbo, there are some people that may take issues with that.
I don't care. I said, imagine what Sunday Onisa said. Sunday Okechukwu Onisa.
Okay.
Sunday Okechukwu Onisa. What is Onisa?
Unfortunately, we have
so
to
we don't want
Anioma
as part of Southeast.
Unfortunately, we have to end it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Andosike. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
That was Peter Nosike, current affairs analyst. He is an academic doctor with PhD on consulting and profit management from Brenner University, the state of Delaware, US. And of course, the author of the book, Abuse of Power, How Democracy Turned into Tyranny of the Few. Let's quickly take a look at stories from our international scene, where at least 4 people have been killed in Cameroon's largest city, Douala, as police and opposition protesters clashed ahead of the announcement of election result. The clashes on Sunday came after hundreds of supporters of opposition candidate Issa Chiroma, who claims to have defeated President Paul Biya in recent elections, defied a protest ban and gathered in the streets of Douala. The protesters barricaded roads, burned tires, and threw rocks and other projectiles at police. The police responded with tear gas and water cannon. Chiroma's campaign also confirmed the deaths. The protests came after partial result from the October 12 election reported by local media showed that Biya, who is 92 years old, was on course to win an 8th term in office. But Chiroma claimed he won 54.8% of the vote against Biya's 31.3% and called on Cameroonians on Wednesday to protest if the Constitutional Council announces falsified and distorted result. Cameroon's government has rejected the opposition's accusations of irregularities and urged people to wait for the official election result to be announced by the Constitutional Council on Monday. And finally, on sports news, a 2/3 majority of the German city of Munich voted in favor of a bid to host the Summer Olympics in 2036, 2040 or 2044 in a referendum. Final results showed 66.4% of voters in the Bavarian capital voted in favor of the proposal. With 42% of Munich's 1.1 million eligible voters taking part, the turnout was the largest for a referendum in the city's history. The previous participation record was a 37.5% recorded in 2001 for a vote on building the Allianz Arena, home to German football champions Bayern Munich and host of the 2012 and 2025 Champions League finals. Munich last hosted the games in 1972. The Bavarian capital is one of 4 German regions developing a bid to host the Olympics and was the first to hold a vote to gauge support. Berlin, Hamburg and Ruhr region are also developing bids with referenda to be held in 2026. And just before we go here again, our top stories. Occupants feared trapped as 2 Sowore buildings collapse in Lagos. Tension as police tear gas barred journalists and lawyers from entering Kuje court ahead of Sowore's appearance. Under Buhari and Tinubu, 500 generals forced out despite rising insecurity. Resident doctors to begin indefinite strike on November 1. Dangote increases refinery capacity from 650,000 to 1.4 million PBD. Creation of one more state and Nnamdi Kanu's release will bring peace to Southeast, according to Ned Nwoko. On our international scene, 4 killed in Cameroon as protests intensify ahead of presidential result. And in sport, Munich voters approved plan to bid for Summer Olympics. And that's the world news at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon Offem. Good afternoon.